The Chronicles of the Crisis, the series. The Osiris Myth. Promising Future. Following Osiris's coronation, things around Egypt only get better. The young god's fertility magic strengthens all crop yields and harvests. Egypt becomes a land of plenty with his blessing, and many of the mortals come to love their new king. With Sobek's input, seeing as the giant crocodilian is Lord of the Nile and a fertility god in his own right, the harvest and the flood seasons are far more predictable and manageable. While the flooding of the Nile still brings destruction, Osiris's aid ensures that the mortals have plenty of warning before the annual disaster can arrive. His powers ensure that the crops are perfect to harvest at appropriate times and are unable to grow right before the flood arrives. Ra, meanwhile, can devote more time to escorting the sun across the sky every day. So, the old coot is in a much less grumpy mood nowadays. He spends most of the day on his solar boat, resting up and preparing for the journey he has to go through at night. His good mood certainly puts the mortals at ease, for now. Set is split between being his brother's right-hand man during the daytime and their grandfather's guard during the nighttime. As you can imagine, that keeps him pretty busy. But he doesn't let that stop him. He's always lightening up stuffy council meetings with his mischievous behavior. Even as an adult, he's still a prankster and a jokester, and Osiris definitely appreciates that, seeing as being pharaoh can sometimes be a little too serious for him. Of course, not everyone is exactly thrilled about Set's disregard for courtly decorum. The Four's great aunt Sekhmet is a real stick in the mud, and Thoth, well...
I don't know what y'all... Ah! You better stop! Stop! Bitch, stop!
Thoth is back to having a fucking aneurysm whenever he encounters Set. Specifically, that's every time he notices Osiris and Set off to the side somewhere. He still highly suspects Set of treachery, and he's absolutely horrified to find that he's still so close to the new king. Now, Set knows Thoth doesn't like him, but he still doesn't really know why. He's usually fine with just scaring him away. Every little growl he makes seems to be enough to send Thoth running away with his tail between his legs. Osiris doesn't like Thoth either, but he understands that the moon god's wisdom is pretty crucial in making decisions. So, unfortunately, the crazy old ibis has to stay on the kingly council. All of the corporeal gods are on this council, in fact. Together, the Big Four, their grandfather, great-aunt, and great-uncles, make up the Aeneid. As the name implies, this is a group of 9 gods. But if we count up all the heads here, there's only 8. Why is that? Well, the 9th is Ma'at, the force of truth and justice. She's currently incorporeal, though, and only exists as a feather. And only Ra can communicate with her. So in actuality, there's only 8 gods in the group, even though the name says there should be 9. So, as you guys can imagine, these guys just need Thoth even more. Even if he is a total bag of dicks. Thankfully, most of the decisions fall to Osiris and his siblings, as the older gods are generally busy. That's where his relationship with his siblings comes in. Osiris and Isis embody fertility and life, respectively, while Set and Nephthys embody destruction and death. Set and Isis are stubborn and driven, yet Osiris and Nephthys know when to stand back and be quiet. Osiris knows when to be kind, Isis knows when to be harsh. Set knows when to take action, and Nephthys knows when to be passive. They all need each other for there to be true balance. Their varied personalities and values help them see problems from different perspectives, ensuring that Osiris makes the best decisions he possibly can. For the most part, there's very little sibling rivalry anymore. Again, Set and Isis have mostly worked out their differences, though there is a new development going on. Osiris and Isis are going to get married. You see, Osiris never forgot how Isis tried to help him all those years ago, and he finds her fiery spirit pretty darn attractive. Isis, of course, admires Osiris' kind heart and commitment to justice. He's handsome and sweet, and she's had a crush on him since they were little. What more could she want? This union is a joyous thing, of course, and the couple-to-be are obviously pretty happy about their future together. Technically, this means Isis is going to be queen over all Duat, and she'll be shouldering some of Osiris' responsibilities for him. But this carries some baggage. Because of the marriage, Isis started encroaching on Osiris and Set's whole dynamic. She's trying to help, and she's got every right to take charge, but Set is a little put off. That oath that the brothers took so many years ago is still really important to him. He might have a disregard for the rules sometimes, but he's still incredibly loyal to his brother. Set is very dedicated to making sure he's putting himself to use, as he greatly prides himself in his strength and prowess, even if it does mean he's kind of overworking himself. For Mr. Ego, having someone take over what he saw as his job is kind of like an insult. As hard a pill to swallow as it is, though, he's eventually, reluctantly, okay with it. He was already getting a little stretched thin, after all, and all of Duat still counts on him to help Ra through his nightly journey. He and Osiris still maintain a pretty close relationship after the shift, and they'll occasionally meet up outside of their working hours to hang out. But Set still worries that he's not fulfilling his end of the promise he made. Osiris assures him that he still needs him around. And Set still has Nephthys around to keep him company. Now, Nephi is a little sad about the incoming marriage. She liked Osiris too, remember. But she's mostly just happy for her sister. If it makes Isis happy, then, well, she's happy. On the bright side, Set's more than happy to keep her company. And she's starting to catch on that he might like her as more than just a friend. She's not really complaining. He's had her back since they were little ones. He helped encourage her when she felt too shy, and he cheered her up when she felt too overwhelmed. Isis and Osiris coming together sort of serves as a wake-up call for these two. Set's pretty attached to his brother, and Nephi's pretty attached to her sister. But they realize that they can be their own people too. It probably isn't too surprising then that those two get engaged shortly after Osiris and Isis are married.
Please, God, never reproduce. Don't do it. We don't need more demons. Oh, God, don't.
Yikes, that guy has seriously relapsed. Thoth is increasingly alarmed to see that Set is right back to being at Osiris' side. He hoped that Isis' new position as queen would shove the dark deity out entirely. But it's just cemented all four of them together even harder. No one seems to suspect a thing. No one sees the vile serpent that Thoth does. Standing back and watching, well, not really watching, since he's blind, and hoping that things work out is clearly not working. Every time he hears them talk, all his mind can see is that frightful vision he saw on the night of Set's birth. Something must be done. If the others can't see the demon in their midst, then Thoth will make it clear to them.